Hola class, how you doing? I'm Dr. Dano. I apologize that I cannot be with you last class, this class. We've had, it's just a busy time of the year. But Professor Angela and I came up with a innovative or creative or different solution to see if I can be helpful in some small way. So I just called this Notes from Dr. Dano. This is my email address. This is my Twitter handle. If you have any additional questions based on what we're going to talk about right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk through these five, six, seven particular things and see if it can generate some conversation. So Professor Angela said that I did some work with the Super Bowl, and that's absolutely positively correct. I was on the advisory board for the Super Bowl when it was I was on the social media advisory board. There was a lot of advisory boards for the Super Bowl, but I was on the social media advisory board. So for about 14 to 16 months prior to the Super Bowl, we did a lot of planning to figure out exactly what we wanted to accomplish with social. Now, before I go any further, when I say the Super Bowl, not the NFL side of the Super Bowl, not the actual game of the Super Bowl, not during the event and all the various social things that happened during the Super Bowl. We were part of think of it as the tourism side of the Super Bowl. We were hired by the Super Bowl, we were funded by the NFL to create a nonprofit to provide an excellent experience for all the fans that were coming to New York. So we had about a 2-week window prior to the actual game where we needed to be helpful with the Super Bowl and the fans. So think of it as a giant concierge desk that was digital, is what we ended up coming up with. So before I get too abstract, let me show you a couple things here. This is my blog. I call it Dig Nuggetville. And I did a number of posts. If you just go to the blog, which is dignuggetville.com, up here, and you just type in Super Bowl here, you'll easily find the Social Media Communications Center, which is what we did the most of. And there's a number of really good links here. There's also a previous post in part 1, which has more detail. But I think the easiest thing to do is to just show you the video from YouTube.
The New York Times says,
okay, let's skip the ad. Okay, let me rewind for 5 seconds here. I missed it already. If you just look right there is me. I'm in the video for what? A half a second?
Hey guys, the girls and I are here at the
I'm over the shoulder over here.
Communication Center today, and we're helping out with all the volunteers, asking questions all the way from people that are going to the game to people that are watching the game at home. Even Cletus is helping out with all the questions. So if you have any, then please tweet at NYNJ Super Bowl and use the hashtag SBQuestions. We want to hear from you guys.
So that was one of the main tasks that we did. And just to put things into perspective, this was from the social media listening platform. No, thank you. Let's see the statistics. In a 2-week period, we looked at 170,000 tweets, and we responded to about 2,300 of them over this 2-week period. So to say that this was a massive effort would be an understatement. Okay? Let's see that. How has the role of social networking changed in the last 5 years, and where is it headed? So let's combine 2 with 5. I'm going to say in the last 5 years we have seen a shift. We've gone to the social networking of Facebook and Twitter and YouTube for that, where one person could socially network with a very, very large audience. So you could have 1 million people following you on Twitter. You could have, tens of thousands of friends on Facebook. You could, that was the trend and that was popular. I think in the last year and a half, we're actually seeing the complete opposite of that, where we have the dominant social network at the moment, or at least the fastest growing, is Snapchat. And Snapchat is really a texting platform. It's you to either one other person or to a small group of other people. Think about it for our Twitter users out there. It's more direct messages as opposed to just tweets to your entire social network. And of all the trends that I'm seeing, that is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting. Now, where is social headed? Where is it going to be in the next 5+ years? Oh my God, if I knew that. This is changing so fast that we really don't know. I mean, if we would have had this conversation a year ago, and I would tell you that you could pick up your phone and you could do live video to your entire Twitter feed, you would look at me like, huh? What? I mean, think about it. We went from being able to text to one of our friends using text to be able to text a message to millions of people, that's Twitter, and then we were able to do live video to maybe 1-2 of our friends with FaceTime or Skype, or if you use Google, maybe 10 with Hangouts. And now we have Meerkat and Periscope, where if I had 1 million people following me on Twitter, I could have 1 million people watching me do live video. That's pretty crazy. Very, very crazy. What are the ethical considerations using social media? Oh my God. We really could spend an entire semester, an entire course talking about this and this only. To say that it comes down to privacy would be such an easy thing to say. I actually thought about this question before I started blurting, and my short answer was to send you into probably 2 of the best documentaries that I've watched in the last year about this particular topic. And for our Netflix and Amazon Prime people, you can easily get this, called Terms and Conditions May Apply. And it lays this out pretty quickly that in the United States primarily, you have to figure out a way to opt out and to protect yourself. As opposed to pretty much everywhere else in the world, and particularly the EU, you have to opt in to have some of these other scenarios that these firms such as Google and Facebook use to market you. I mean, I can't see you guys, so I don't know how many people are using a Google product. You are actually watching this through YouTube. YouTube is free. Google Plus is free. Gmail is free. I bet you 90% of the people in this class has a Gmail account. Well, it's free, and Facebook is free because for all intents and purposes, you are the product. Google monetizes you. So maybe at the moment when you're in college and you don't have that much of an income, maybe you're worth $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a year to Google. Well, Professor Angela is maybe worth $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year to Google. They monetize her profile and sell it against to potential advertisers who would want to get in front of Angela's eyeballs. Maybe instead of the word privacy, I think it could all come down to disclosure. This is my other video that I would like you guys to watch called Generation Like. Also free on Netflix or Amazon Prime. This is a PBS. It's about 60 minutes. It's the Frontline series. And it really comes down to disclosure. Who's disclosing what? what are they exactly telling you or not telling you? Because there's just too much that we don't know, and there's no laws or rules to tell them that they have to disclose what they should be disclosing. So when it comes down to ethics, it's pretty wide. We don't have to talk about black and white. There's just so much gray because there's no real rules here in the United States. Not that much. Not at all. How should a company handle a crisis over social media? Well, even the way this question is worded has a problem. A company, in the old days, 10 years ago, when we were in a top-down world, when we had our PR hats on, and there was a crisis, and we put a crisis team together, and we would come up with something, and then we would be able... No. Because we don't live in a top-down world anymore. We live in a bottom-up world. And in a bottom-up world, the crowd, or the audience, or the fans, or the customers have more power than we do as the brand manager, the marketing manager, the COO, or the firm or the company. If there is a crisis and the crowd takes the crisis, I don't think there's really much the firm can do. We have an entire generation of people growing up, that are used to complaining or participatory, what would you want to call it? Consumerism, perhaps? And usually what happens is, in the best scenarios, where a firm has a lot of goodwill, and they have goodwill because they've performed many times, like Disney, for instance. Disney has a lot of goodwill. If someone, a fan, a customer, were to go out on social media and go ballistic about something that happened on Disney, in a good Web 2.0 and a good bottom-up world, the crowd would police itself. People would feel obliged to step up to the plate for Disney and say, yo, buddy, you're out of line here. Maybe you had one bad experience, but you're the only one. Now, if it wasn't Disney, and it was a firm that didn't have a whole lot of goodwill, and it was an airline company, and they broke your luggage, and it broke a lot of people's luggage, and they never did anything about it, well, guess what? The crowd, there's no one in the crowd that's going to come to the defense of the firm. What's the firm going to do? Give everybody a free flight? What's the firm going to do? They can apologize, but that's really about it. This is a different kind of an animal. And in the past, it used to take a while for crises to bubble up. Something could happen in 4, 6, 8 hours. 4, 6, 8 hours. So we already kind of went through 5. I don't even think we have a good feel for what's going to happen at the end of 2015, let alone the beginning of 2016. To think 5 years out, to think 5 years ago, there was no iPad. iPhone, Android was in really bad shape. They're in good shape now, but Android was almost an also-ran 5 years ago. iPhone, they were still thinking was a fad. Mobile computing has taken over the world in the last 5 years. It's totally different. It's totally different. When I was in college and I was in my MBA program, we looked at 5-year strategic plans. Even the auto industry doesn't go more than 3 to 4 to 5 years out. And they have to go look way out. Really, most firms have a 6, 12, 18-month plan, and that's pretty much it. Because anything beyond that, Apple, which is the most valuable firm of the year, of the world, they really have a 2 to 3 year window on things, and that's about it. There's a lot of things that they're dabbling with that they have no idea, but anything that's real, that they really are working on, it's a 2 to 3 year window. 2 to 3 year. Apple Watch was literally, which just launched, was about a 3-year window on the high side. You know? And every iPhone, every new generation of iPhone takes about 2 years. Now, we always have like iPhone 6, and then in the fall we'll see iPhone 6S or whatever they're going to call it. We will not see iPhone 7 until a year from now. And, you know, the difference, it took 2 years to go from, we had iPhone 5, we had 5S, we had 6, then there'll be 6, 6S, you know. It's a 2-year window there. How should we be using social network platforms? In other words, how are the platforms used? I apologize, but this is a very, very generic question. Every platform is radically different. I mean, to be able to talk about Snapchat and to be able to talk about LinkedIn in the same conversation is just not possible. They are radically different platforms. We have platforms that are mobile only. You know, Instagram and Snapchat are mobile only for all intents and purposes. LinkedIn does not have a great mobile experience, but they have such a valuable experience desktop-wise that they're still okay. Facebook has gone from a monster shift from desktop only to pretty much mobile only. And for any of you out there who have iOS and you're not using Facebook Paper, oh, you're totally missing out. I have not opened the Facebook app in 18 months on my phone. But Paper is a dream. Go into the App Store, type in Facebook Paper, download it, and never use the other Facebook app again. It's a dream, and it was created for that size screen. It's just spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. So maybe the best way to answer this question is that each platform has a specific purpose. You know, when I look at Facebook, Facebook is friends. When I look at LinkedIn, LinkedIn is clients or business. When I look at Twitter, Twitter is actually more business for me, but there's things that you can do that's specific for Twitter versus, you know, Twitter is just microblogging. It's a small post. You know, I use WordPress for my blogging platform. I like YouTube as well because YouTube is fantastic for this video thing that we're doing here. Each platform has a specific purpose, and each platform does something specific for a particular audience. And you have to understand that if you're a firm or you're a brand, you may only have certain fans that love Facebook. And if you want to reach them, you got to reach them through Facebook. You might have certain fans or clients or customers that only like Twitter or only like LinkedIn. You know? And the most important thing is content created for LinkedIn doesn't work well in Twitter. Twitter is a different thing. There's only 140 characters. And guess what? Your Instagram content cannot be easily transferred over to Snapchat because Snapchat has a totally different platform with their stories and how they do their things. You know? You should think about each one of these networks independently and what your specific goal is. What are the advantages to each? I mean, I know no one likes Google Plus. Okay, it really, really gets, you know, bantered about in there in the social blogosphere. But I'm telling you right now that Hangouts is spectacular, and Google Plus is going to get a radical revision over the next 6 to 8 months or 9 months here. And it's just going to be really focused around your email and Hangouts, really. Everything else is going to disappear. Well, Circles, Hangouts, and email. You know, pretty much that's it. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about data, technology, IMC, which includes marketing, PR, and advertising, as it relates to social media and the consumer? This one's pretty easy. This is straightforward. When we think about marketing, PR, advertising, these are all top-down, one-way medium. You know, a billboard is one way. A magazine ad is one way. The firm creates the ad, the firm has complete control of the message, and it sends that message out to a particular audience. You know, most of direct mail, all of TV, newspaper, billboard, these are all one-way mediums. Okay? Social media doesn't work that way. Social media is a two-way medium. Okay, it's bottom up. One is top down and one is bottom up. One is great for control. The top down, you can control the entire message. Social media, you cannot control the entire message. I think if there's one thing you can take away from this entire video is when we talk about social media, the popular term out there is always engagement now. There's 18 million blog posts on social media engagement and how to increase engagement and all like that. To me, I think the word engagement is too obtuse. It is correct. It's definitionally correct. I think the easier term to grasp, to swallow, to understand is dialogue. Social media means dialogue. It means two-way. It's you, a fan base, a customer base, and an audience. This stuff is one-way, top-down, pushing a message out, and that's it. Social media is two-way, crowd, fan, dialogue. Now, even though these two are polar opposites in an IMC world, can they not work together? Of course they can work together. You could have an advertising campaign integrated across various different types of top-down one-way, radio, print, billboard, TV, PR, that drives people to social for more information, for dialogue, for Q&A, questions, perhaps trial if it's a digital product. The last thing we would want to do is just run a TV ad. And then we wouldn't be able to track any effectiveness from that TV ad because it's just a TV ad. There's no call to action for that ad to send the fans that are interested to something. But a magazine ad can easily drive traffic to a YouTube platform for further detail. That works. Maybe I'll wrap up with this, because when I teach social media both on the graduate level and on the undergraduate level, I teach social media from an ROI, return on investment perspective. When we talk about this, the old adage from John Wanamaker is, quote, "I know I'm wasting half my advertising dollars, I just don't know which half." And in a one-way, top-down medium, you really can't track. It's very difficult to track things. Social media is very easy to track things. I'm not saying that social media is 100% truth. I'm not saying that there's some goofiness in the metrics, but I am telling you that this, metrics-wise, is 10 times, 20 times what this stuff is metric-wise. And I'm a much bigger fan of metrics than just having this. At least if you're doing this and you're driving them to this, you at least get some metrics from effectiveness of a campaign through social. That's where I would put my head at. I'm a big fan of IMC, and that's where my head's at. Okay? Again, I'm Dr. Dano. You have any questions, you shoot me email or you hit me up on Twitter. Thanks.